For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report. We're live Tuesday night, special day, special time, Tuesday, October 13th, 2009. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and David Hero here with us in our downtown studios here at ESPN Milwaukee, 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
There's a place you can go. It's
downtown. It's where the ladies work, down on Skid Row. Boys, what a show.
That was a Seinfeld reference.
And it was also a Little Shop of Horrors reference.
Yeah. Is that Skid Row as in Detroit for you guys or something?
No, Pat Patterson. No, same thing.
Oh. Well, you know. We
too fast.
It went around way too.
Well, no, if you were paying attention to TV last week.
Or the product, if you will.
Your Detroit references.
Hey, you know what?
Ladies.
My Detroit ladies know that I'm always in the house. I'm on the television, faux shizzle.
We've got a big show for you tonight. A special guest, Terri Runnels, is going to be joining us live at the bottom of the hour.
The lovely Marlena.
Formerly known as Marlena from World Wrestling Entertainment. We're also going to preview TNA's big Bound For Glory pay-per-view coming up this Sunday. Talk about WWE Raw from this past Monday night. A little bit of a detailed conversation about wrestling commentary teams and the problem that exists with them right now. And the question that needs to be answered tonight, what does WWE have against the Pro Wrestling Report? That is something you certainly want to hear later on here on this program. But, gentlemen, let's invite our listeners to participate by the phone lines. The number is 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. Again, that's 1-800-990-3776. We're also live at ESPNMilwaukee.com and PWRshow.com. The chatmosphere is going at PWRshow.com right now. And why don't we do it for the first time ever? Let's just start the show with a caller.
What? And go.
Glenn from Orlando, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Glenn. What's happening?
What's crack-a-lackin'?
Well, here's a question that I haven't heard you guys talk about at all, and I've been listening to you guys for about 3 months now.
Okay.
What are you guys' opinions on the wrestling in the public eye?
Wrestling in the public eye, in the general public?
Yeah, like how they sometimes trash it.
Well, you know, again, if we're talking about a general opinion of how the wrestling business is, obviously they still find it to be a sideshow, a steroid-infested, sex-laden, abomination of our generation. But
well, there's a lot of mainstream attention to the product right now, especially with Linda McMahon out on the East Coast.
And
running
the Raw guest hosting.
Exactly, and lots of coverage on, what is it, Inside Edition? What are they?
Access
Hollywood.
Pay attention to the
They
product.
did a great job last night.
No. Damien, keep going.
And obviously Sports Center as well with Ben Wrestling.
Not going to work here.
You know what
it work anymore.
Is the media is a little, they're a little soured on wrestling because, 10 years ago, it ruled the ratings.
Yeah.
It was killing Monday Night Football. It was killing all different cable TV shows.
Wrestling actually had a lot to do with why, Monday Night Football moved networks.
Wrestling was the first reality TV show.
Not really.
Oh, yeah. Think about it. They had all the storylines,
Yeah, I can see it, but I don't really know how to argue that point. I mean, I
reality
guess,
TV show
when
is
I
rigged.
think the first
it's all
reality,
scripted anyhow. What's the difference?
When I think the
It's a
first
controlled
reality,
situation with a premeditated outcome,
which means it's not a sport. But when I think reality TV, I think of like the real world, the real world.
And you don't think that wasn't scripted?
It was.
It's all scripted.
Well, when there's a camera in front of a normal human being, they're going to act out. So
Watch
from
The
that
Office.
point alone,
Yeah, watch
it's
Meet It
scripted.
on Express.
Oh, very good.
Absolutely.
So, Glenn, the mainstream attention to professional wrestling, it's always going to be looked at as the red-headed dragon. That's for you, the red-headed stepchild of any type of form of entertainment, and its fans are always going to be looked at as large gentlemen, fanny packs.
Oh, come on. They don't wear the fanny packs anymore.
Oh, they do.
And the Zubas.
Yeah,
they don't wear the the fanny packs aren't as
Dave,
prevalent.
you're wearing Zubas
But
right
wrestling
now.
fans that certainly have a negative view by those who aren't wrestling fans, or those who don't know or think that they're wrestling fans.
The reason they don't like it is because, it's fake. That's why they
It's
don't
a
like it.
controlled situation with a premeditated outcome. There's a difference.
All right.
Fake is non-existent,
No
not
reason
happening.
to get hot about it.
No, I'm not hot yet. Actually, the temperature's very cool here in the studio tonight.
Well, don't plug anything in.
Glenn, what else do you have for us?
Do you guys think it'll ever turn to the way it was 10 years ago? Like, to where the public actually talks about it and actually talks about stuff that
This is
actually
going to
has
sound
happened and not trashy?
sound wrong and insensitive, but as long as wrestlers don't die in the next 10 years and become mainstream, news, then maybe.
Well, they need the big crossover. I mean, what was so great about wrestling in the Attitude Era, and I know people hate hearing about this, but The Rock, he was a crossover. Steve Austin, he was a borderline crossover. They were on Saturday Night Live, and people were entertained by them. Where casual TV watchers would tune in to say, okay, that's The Rock. Hey, he's a funny guy. I don't.
What do you mean, funny guy?
How am I
don't
funny? See John Cena being the crossover. I don't see Randy Orton, or Triple H, or Shawn Michaels, anyone on either brand being the crossover right now.
I would tend to agree with that. I don't even know if there's anybody close. Nope.
No, I don't have anybody.
There's nobody close.
Yeah, I don't have anybody. It's sorry for the dead air there, but I got nobody.
There are a lot of people that want the Attitude Era back, but there are a lot of people that want 80s wrestling back. There are a lot of people that want different times
They want
of
something that we
back.
don't have now.
Well, and that right there should tell you something, because during the Attitude Era, you had a small faction of people that wanted 80s wrestling, traditional wrestling back. You did not have the hundreds of thousands of people who want the Attitude Era back that they do now, meaning people were satisfied with that. They're not necessarily satisfied with what's going now, so they're looking for a time where things were better, at least in their opinion, and gravitating towards that, and that's understandable. Glenn from Orlando, Florida, thank you very much for that call, and you have fun on the OBT tonight.
Are you meeting up with Glenn at catering in a couple weeks?
What do you mean?
Oh, you're going to be down there for TNA TV, aren't you?
I have no travel booked to Orlando, Florida at the current time.
Okay.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
That's a God-honest truth.
We'll get the phone call in about 2 days. Hey, I'm going to Orlando.
Hey, yeah, can you guys handle the show? Call the Cos. He can host while I'm down eating catering. We get those phone calls, folks. We do.
Are you guys done?
I'm done.
WWE Raw from this past Monday night, 3.4 was the rating, up from its 3.3 last week. Let's talk about the show as it was, and if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I was not a big fan of the show at all. As a matter of fact, I needed to be convinced to continue to tune into it after the first 8 minutes of the show. Thank God Jericho came out. I wanted him to save me from DX, at one half of it anyways, that in Triple H, who's, too cool for school.
Whoever would have thought half of DX is worse than all of DX?
Oh, that was terrible. Oh, as Chuck would say, that was terrible.
And a lot of people liked Raw. I don't know why or how, but you're entitled to that opinion.
JR
My
liked
opinion.
Raw, he said. I didn't get it.
Well,
but once again,
was there wrestling?
Once again, Jericho is the MVP of that brand again.
Jericho starting the show was nice, but Triple H buries not only SmackDown in general, but the Great Khali. What the heck's going on with that? Our senior intern, Cal, is not going to be very happy
He
about
was not
that.
pleased. Not at all. But
When did he get promoted to senior intern? I'm still beginner analyst.
Right.
He agreed to do a contract. You said that he buried SmackDown. I didn't see that. What are you talking about?
He said that SmackDown is an inferior show.
Right.
With such wrestlers, or such great wrestlers as the Great Khali, or something along those lines.
Yeah, but don't they bash Raw when they're on SmackDown?
But SmackDown...
No, they never bash Raw.
Raw has a shield around it. SmackDown does not. SmackDown, the better show, yes or no?
SmackDown, according to who? I mean, are we talking wrestling?
Your opinion, better show.
Overall entertainment value?
Yes.
I like Raw.
I think it's the same.
Same? SmackDown is, in my opinion, significantly better than Raw. Especially over the course of the last few weeks.
But here's why it's better, because they can edit things better. It's not live.
So they wrestle on SmackDown, and I am a wrestling fan.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, that DX...
Ziggler Morrison last Friday. We had a 10-minute match. Yeah. However, was there anything that came close to 10 minutes on Raw this past Monday night?
And going back to that HBK thing, you know, actually, I'm going to steal from the Chatosphere. Frank, a sexy user, said that cardboard HBK had more charisma than half the roster.
The whole opening thing was just so cheesy, with him calling Sean and the music playing, yet the music was clearly playing over the loudspeakers, not on the... You know,
at least he's
on
improved,
paper...
Hold on. At least he's improved the phone gimmick, because the first time he called the guy, he called from a corded phone. Hello?
Some people do still
Hello?
have those.
And then all of a sudden, ga-gung. We couldn't hear Sean while he was talking, but we could hear the phone hang up.
Some of the stuff they did was funny as the night progressed. The Hornswoggle thing, that was funny. The Chavo thing was all right. But, you know, here's the thing.
Chavo ought to be a punk.
I have been a defender of Triple H for years. I feel he gets a lot of unnecessary heat because of the fact he's married to Stephanie. However, as we have learned from the likes of Ken Anderson and many others who have been on this very program, a lot of what Triple H gets heat for is indeed justified. Now, with that being said, Triple H, maybe I'm hearing more than he's saying when he says what he's saying. I don't know, but I'm just done with the guy. He just seems to be completely self-serving, and that's it.
You know what? You're probably right, but the reason that we're putting him under the microscope with whatever he says is because we're so used to all the negative stuff being said about him. So now we're just waiting for it.
Mickie James was the Divas champion, and a minute and a half later, Jillian Hall was the Divas champion.
I know you want me.
About 2 minutes after that, Melina was the Divas champion.
Who did Mickie
piss
last
off?
Week on TV?
Did we?
They're going to shake things up. The Divas were going to shake things up.
Well, you did say that, David. But is Mickie in the proverbial doghouse?
No, they're sending her to SmackDown. They can't send the champ to SmackDown.
Correct. But did Jillian... The whole thing seemed a little messy.
It was just a way to put the belt on Melina.
Yeah, but what about us, the fans? What about us? Give us a match at least.
And
put
even
Alicia
worse,
in there. Alicia was the number one contender just a couple of weeks ago.
Don't even get me started on her. But at least, you know, Mickie was wrestling. Did you see the spot that Melina did?
Everyone saw the spot, the botch spot.
That was huge.
That was pretty bad. That was a timing issue.
Hey, the gap between her leg and Jillian falling to the ground. Well, when she laid on the finisher move she's doing.
She's going to get us kicked off the air.
If WWE isn't successful.
You got heat, man. I'm telling you.
Fortunately, I do. This is the Pro Wrestling Report. Coming up, still to come on this program, more about WWE Raw. We've got a full preview of TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view this Sunday. Also, we're going to talk about wrestling commentary teams. Terri Runnels at the bottom of the hour, formerly known as Marlena in WWE, will be our guest. And we're going to give you more details on what WWE has against us here on this program. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Sorry about your damn luck.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and David Hero.
We're back.
Here with you live Tuesday night, October 13th. Special Tuesday night edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. Thank you very much for tuning in and joining us. Coming up in just a few minutes, our guest is Terri Runnels, formerly known as Marlena.
She's got a hot story for us, too.
She's been scrapping lately.
Yeah.
If she's been hot,
she got hot about it.
She's hot.
She's going to give us the exclusive. You know, she knows she laid the smackdown on some promoter out east.
We're going to hear all about that in just a few minutes at the bottom of the hour here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. If you're not already, you can go to ESPNMilwaukee.com, find out how you can listen to the Pro Wrestling Report live on your iPhone. You can go ahead and listen to the show live now on your iPhone, Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. If you want to join us on the phone lines, the number 276-ESPN, 276-3776, and 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-3776. We've also got 4 tickets to TNA's live event in Racine, Wisconsin, coming up next Saturday night. We're going to be giving those away tonight. 4 free tickets, great seats to the TNA live event coming up in Racine on October the 24th.
Main event, AJ Styles against Samoa Joe.
Should be a great show.
And the Knockouts champion, ODB, will be there.
Getting closer to home, huh?
A lot closer to home.
We got to make sure Frank actually is able to go to that show so he can get reconnected with ODB.
You know, I've heard rumors that, well, I hate to say rumors and all, but there's a chance that some guy from Green Bay, Wisconsin could be at one of those shows.
Now, listen, Dave, I'm not sure you want to go ahead and release that kind of information right here, right now.
You never know. Hey, it's not that far from his house.
Look here, Booker man.
I'm just saying. Because, you know, they're going to have to replace some talent in TNA shortly.
Can we scoop it without a name? Bound for Glory?
What, who's leaving?
This Sunday?
I'll give you one letter.
This Sunday, somebody, one superstar, it will be their last event with TNA.
Yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
One letter.
Go.
Oh, you got to guess.
All we need to say is that somebody's done as of this Sunday,
right.
And we've scooped it. You haven't read that anywhere.
7.
I said letter, not number.
Right. Anyways, let's continue talking about WWE Raw from this past Monday night.
It made it better.
Divas trade. Here were the trades that we talked about. Mickey is no longer the Divas champion. She is going to SmackDown. Beth Phoenix also going to SmackDown. Beth Phoenix, really good this past Monday night, I thought, in her promo and match.
She almost put Maria Menounos, is that her name?
Manoodles. It's Manoodles.
Almost through the wall. I was like, wow.
She did.
Yeah.
She didn't pull nothing back on that one.
No.
Well, you know, the girls, just like the guys, they're probably hot that, you know, these celebrities are coming in on their
They're not
turf.
hot.
They're
they
hot.
don't care. You
They're
know
hot.
something? I didn't watch Access Hollywood yet today because it's on like around 10:30 tonight, but I'm willing to bet you that
clip.
The Glamazon is ecstatic that those girls were there because that clip will be on TV tonight.
Eve goes to Raw from SmackDown, and the Bella Twins go from ECW to Raw.
And what are they going to do because they haven't done anything on ECW yet?
As we talked about before, Melina now on Raw and is the new WWE Divas champion.
You know
Melina
what?
apparently still hooking up with John Morrison. Those two still
They really
seeing each other.
diva it up Raw, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, they
Are
sent.
you starting the conspiracy?
No.
They put all the pretty girls on Raw.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You know, but
Prettier.
But they're now sending the wrestling chicks to SmackDown.
Because SmackDown is where
I mean, think about it.
wrestling
Right now,
happens.
the only true, legitimate wrestling diva on Raw, and correct me if I'm wrong, which I'm sure I am, is Gail Kim.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, but I mean, if we go another week or so, you'll say that Alicia Fox is another
Alicia
wrestling
Fox
diva.
is a future star.
I didn't say she wasn't a star. I said wrestling diva.
Well, she is a diva.
Wrestling, as in we're talking. You said true wrestling, because that girl
you
can't
swim
wrestle.
in circles. You don't walk in circles. You swim in circles.
She can't
Around
wrestle.
a point that's not
What do you
there.
mean she can't wrestle?
She can.
She did a great job last night.
Can you wrestle better than her?
No, absolutely not.
See, that's
Would
what
you
it
like
is.
to wrestle? Oh, here, that's what it is. You just want to give her a tryout.
Yeah, she can put me in a head scissors all she wants.
15 minutes?
15 minutes is just a warm-up.
Nancy O'Dell and Maria Menendez were the
They did a great job.
hosts. And,
Maria Menendez.
They did a great job.
you know what?
She's
They really
Greek,
did.
by the way.
I mean,
They
you
really
know what?
did.
Think about it. I thought they were going to be terrible. I thought they'd come in all highbrow and everything, and they were actually pretty good team players.
Well,
I
that
can't
movie
disagree
that
with that,
Maria's
really.
plugging, though, what is it?
That's the
Stereo
Drizzlers.
Buddy.
When the clip looks horrible?
Yeah.
That's all bad.
Yeah.
I was like,
I felt bad for Gail because she had to put it over to her in the ring like, oh, yeah, that's great, when I know Gail's thinking that was just terrible.
It was, as Gagne would say, the Drizzlins.
Yeah, it was the Drizzlins.
she did pretty good. Meathead, your thoughts? Nancy
Eh.
O'Dell.
I don't
Really? I thought she, whenever was on air, I thought she did pretty good. I thought it was natural. She felt comfortable with
That is the first female host, right? Guest host?
We'll go with that.
Okay.
Trish Stratus was before, but she's sort of in the company.
She's been talent before. What I'm getting kind of tired of right now is too many face hosts. We need someone to be heel. I guess Piven was the only true heel, but he only came heel at the end. I mean, we need somebody to beat a bad guy.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
He had Al
he was face.
Sharpton on a few weeks ago.
But he didn't act a heel. He just became heel because nobody likes him.
So you
Tough
want someone to pretend to be the bad guy.
No, I want a legitimate bad
look
guy.
at the bad guy.
No, you know
Bring
what?
Federline back. I don't care.
You know
Stay
what?
fed.
They won't have a true heel because they want to get all the publicity out of it.
Then get Kanye.
No,
Snoop
I won't. No.
is the guest host next week. That
And
should
Coco.
be fun.
And Coco.
No. Coco is with iced tea.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I got my rappers
your
and
rappers
TV stars.
Now why would you get those two confused?
Rapper and TV stars.
They look completely different.
No, they
don't
come
look
from
anything
the same,
like each other.
From the same what?
One's a
What
lot
do you
taller.
mean?
Generation.
What do you mean? Like
From
Pepsi
that
generation?
They blew up in the 80s.
Gen Y, Gen X, or Gen B?
They blew up in the 80s.
Gen OG.
Laid back.
With my mind on my money and my money on my mind.
Snoop should be fun. Snoop is a pop culture sensation. He's a crossover. Yeah, Snoop should be. I mean, granted, he got charged with murder and all that. Who cares?
Murder was the
He's
case
just
they
fun.
gave him.
Oh, it was a 187, taking me to heaven. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
I thought it was the Vibe Awards.
When we come back, Terri Runnels is our guest, formerly known as Marlena. She's got some interesting things to say. Call somebody. Tell them Terri Runnels is next on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson sitting alongside David Hero and the man they call Meathead. We're live Tuesday night, October 13th. And without further ado, let's go now to our special guest, appearing for the first time here on the Pro Wrestling Report, Terri Runnels. Terri, welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Terri, you were the most excited to be on the show yet. Thank you.
I'm thrilled. I've had the day from hell. This is so exciting to be sitting. I actually have a glass of wine in hand, and let me just tell you this. I was on my way to Destin, Florida, to the beach.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, my lovely vehicle decides that it's going to misbehave. So I pull into a gas station, which was not a service station, but they happened to be doing some construction work there, and these guys tried to help me. And then, long story short, my brother-in-law drives an hour to see what's wrong, and because his business is vehicles, so he was the one I called for, help me. So he fixes it after about, he goes and buys parts and comes back and fixes it for me. Yeah, and then it basically, my engine, I have to buy a new engine.
Oh, I would
long
just.
story short, my brother-in-law had my car towed. I'm now at my sister and brother-in-law's house, and we had just sat down to dinner. But you guys are more important than my dinner, so I'm.
Wow. Well, thank you, Terri.
Wow. I feel we got to change the mood. I think we got to play some mood music on it. I think I got to be Tim Meadows, and we got to do the ladies' man and just relax. You a glass of wine, Cavassier.
We're going to start making that a requirement for guests on the show. Kevin Nash, every time he's been on, has had his glass of wine with him, and now Terri doing the same thing. We love it. We're going to have to start bringing wine ourselves.
Terri, after losing your engine.
Very often doing these without a glass. Go ahead.
You know what I would do, Terri? I would take the straw and put it in the bottle of wine if you just lost your engine. I went through the same thing a few months ago, and yeah, that's not a nice way to start your day.
There was the straw in a thing of wine.
I'm sorry?
Who is that saying there was the
that
straw?
was me.
David Hero.
I'm saying if you just lost your engine.
Shame on you.
I know, but listen, that's a rough day.
Yeah, it was not fun, but now I'm in the safety and loving arms of my sister and brother-in-law and nephew.
That's awesome.
And
you're in Florida.
I'm in Florida, which is hot and humid and horrible because it's so hot.
Are you kidding? It was 29 degrees up here on Sunday.
I would trade you in 2 seconds.
Oh.
Love the cold. Hate the heat.
Well, Terri, obviously the fans know you all around the world from your days as Marlena in WWE, the advisor, the director, I guess you can call it, of Gold Dust, Dustin Runnels. Tell us about those days. What are your best memories of your times in World Wrestling Entertainment?
I was going to say, also the person who did Gold Dust dirty laundry at home. You know what? It was a blast. I mean, that was the most fun character that I did, and I enjoyed it the most. It was, I think the fans, when they changed from me being Marlena and then they called me Terri, I think the fans were not able to discern between character and the real me, and that to me was kind of frustrating because just because they called me by my real name, they assumed whatever I did on TV was was how I really was. And
well, but
so
with
every Tom, Dick, and Harry thinks I'm horny, which is not true. And,
well, with the invitational tournament, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But you know,
and I'm back.
It was all fun, all fun.
So many things you did, and so many memories I have. And we were actually talking about this last week on the show. When you got thrown around by China, Joni Lauer, a couple times, how did you not throw everything out of joint with the way she shook you?
Yeah, here's what's funny. You know, and I tell people this all the time. You know, every little smart aleck that says wrestling is fake, you know, I always tell them, you know, no, it's predetermined, but it is not fake. Thank you. And it's funny, you know, it's like when you have that much adrenaline pumping through your body, you don't feel a whole lot of anything. But boy, the next day, I remember the next morning after she had shaken me the first time, and I remember we were in the hotel, and I went to, Dustin was to my left. He had already gotten out of the bed, and he asked me something, and I went to turn to answer him, like just turn my head, and I couldn't. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, I could not move the next day. It was horrible. So, but you know what? I liked working with people when they worked stiff. Like, I remember when Edge was supposed to spear me, and he was so scared. And I'm like, you know, I want to feel it. I want to feel it. When Bubba Ray had to put me to the table.
Mm-hmm. Remember that, yeah.
Scared to death. And I still am pissed at him because he took too much of that for me. I should have taken a lot more of that, but I think Vince scared him to death because Vince was like, don't let anything happen to her. And Vince kept coming to me saying, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure? I'm like, yeah, let's rock and roll. But yeah, I mean, you know, I like taking big bumps.
Yeah, you did. Again, I'll never get that image out, and you don't see it very often anymore. Every now and again, they might replay a clip of it, but it was just like the first time, it's like, is that really her? Or did they change somebody out and put like a doll in China's hand? But
yeah, and it's cute. I have a little side story to that. When she shook me, I think it was the second time. It might have been the first. I don't know, but I was wearing a short dress, and when she finally let go, my posterior was exposed.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my mother saying to me, honey, could you not have pulled down your dress? And I said, Mom, no, I really couldn't have. She said, well, couldn't you have, like, wormed your way around to where it pulled down? I'm like, Mom, no, I really couldn't. I'm sorry. It was what it was.
Yeah, and gave it a lot more realism as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Terri, a lot of the fans know you as Marlena, but you first started out in WCW as Alexandra York.
Yes.
What was that like when they
the glasses
came to you?
and the cigar?
Yeah.
Like,
what was it like when they
I
came
didn't
to you?
have a cigar back then. I only had the glasses and the computer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, that was 2,000 years ago.
That was back when WCW was still around.
Exactly. It was, you know what, I was such a little greenhorn. I mean, I'd been around the business as makeup artist, but I was just learning, and I've told the story before, like, I remember getting out of the ring one time and, like, getting out right by our opponent, and I remember Terry Taylor saying to me, don't ever do that again, because you just made him look like a piece of shit because he didn't do something to you, and you know, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'll never do that again. And so, you know, I was learning back then, but that was a long 20-something years ago. That was a long time ago.
Working with who was at the time your husband Dustin Runnels. I think there was even an angle where your child came into play in WWE at a time. Did things ever go too far? Was the line ever crossed?
The only thing, and now, I mean, she's old enough now that she chuckles at all of it, but the only thing that I ever really fought against and lost was the pregnancy angle, because I thought, you know, as kids at school, and she went to a very small private school, so she was a little protected in that way, but I thought, if people tell her that her mommy is having a baby and then they tell her mommy lost her, I really don't want to do that. And, you know, she ended up never hearing about it until, you know, she got older and was old enough to know storylines and stuff like that. But that was the only one that I really, you know, I didn't like. I never liked when Vince made me wrestle. I hated it. That was one thing that I always, I would literally, and I've told this story a million times, I would get to the building and, when I got there, if I was told Big Show's going to throw you over the top rope and you're going to land in the third row of fans, I would be like, yes, cool, awesome. I was stoked. If he said you're wrestling and it's a bikini paddle on the pole match, I was sick to my stomach the whole day. And I was just like, Vince, really, Vince, I think you should get someone else to do it. Nope, you're doing it. I'm like, okay. So those were never fun to me. I don't, and I've said this a million times too, I love and respect the women who bust their butts and are great wrestlers, but I love taking bumps from the guys. I just don't enjoy wrestling.
You're also one of the original divas, as well, and you've seen how the ladies have changed. Where it was you, Sunny, and Sable, and then they brought in with Lita and Trish, and now they have all the diva search.
Yes.
What do you think about all that?
You know what? I've said this before. I feel like I'm saying the same things over and over again, but I think the girls are beautiful. I think they're talented, but I think that it weakens the whole. It just becomes cookie cutter. It's just not special. There's too many and there's too much that's alike, and it's just like if you've ever seen. I'll give you a good analogy. Look, you've seen neighborhoods where they've taken the property, however many acres the neighborhood's going to be, and they've literally torn down every bit of trees and shrubs and everything, and they plant grass, and then if the homeowner wants to plant a tree, they can, but it's some little, tiny stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you've seen neighborhoods where they methodically, leave this beautiful tree and that tree, and, it has some personality, and it has some history, and it has some, there's substance to it. And I think that, that kind of reminds me of, the cookie-cutter neighborhoods that you...
It sounds like subdivisions to me, where they, you have a developer come in, and, basically every house looks the same. You follow these rules. The tree is at this corner of your property. And
Exactly. And then you've seen the beautiful neighborhood where it's got, developed stuff, where it's taken its time to develop. And, I just think that they could I would do it differently. That's all.
I think that wrestling. I think that today's wrestlers miss the indies. They miss going to the different territories to try to develop. Right now, they sign you and they send you down to FCW in Florida, and it's all one way. And it's hard to express yourself when you're being taught to perform a certain way.
It's a totally different world. I mean, I miss the days of kayfabe. I remember when we were doing the angle with Brian Pillman, and, I had to leave a building in a trunk because, I was supposed to be with Brian, and I couldn't leave with my husband. And, I miss those days. That was...
They've thrown all that out the window. Literally.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
nobody cares.
In some ways that's cool, but there's just, if you were around back then, if you worked in the business back then, it was just magic, and a lot of that magic's gone.
You mentioned Brian Pillman. Tell us a little bit about obviously Brian Pillman passed away in 1997. Spent a lot of time with him.
Ironically enough.
On your birthday, really?
Yes.
I was at that event actually in St. Louis, Missouri, Bad Blood, when the announcement happened. They never actually told us in the building that had happened. Well,
here's what I knew the night before we were at a house show, and it was where I had to wear all the black stuff and wear the dark lipstick and have the fake nose piercing and all that stuff, and I told Dustin after the match, I said, Brian was really, really rough with me. Like, it was almost like he was he was rough. I mean, he normally when he would manhandle me, it was fine, but that particular night, it was different. And I remember going up to Brian that night and saying, Brian, are you okay? And he said, yeah, nobody will let me ride with him. So I said to Dustin, should we let him ride with us? And I kind of felt weird because, Brian and I had dated before, and even though there was not anything there at that point, I said, should we let him ride with us? And he said, no, he'll be all right. So the next day we're at the building, and, it's a pay-per-view, and it's time. This is the big. We're going to do the big wedding ceremony and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And supposed to be there about 1 o'clock, and it's 2 o'clock and it's 3 o'clock, and I just said to Dustin, I said, he didn't make his flight. You need to get somebody. And I think it was Dave Hebner that he went and got and said, called the hotel and, of course, found out the horrible news. But it breaks my heart because I've said this so many times before, if you have a weakness, this business will find it
mm-hmm.
and prey upon it. And but only the strong survive. It's not all about what happens in that ring. There's so much about it that happens in the 4 square walls of a hotel room, of a car driving from town to town, and it's some parts are glamorous and some parts are tough as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Terri, then let's talk about something glamorous.
Okay.
What happened a couple weeks ago? I heard you were out east, some promoter
hanging out.
Yeah. Okay, let me just say this.
Well, Terri, actually, we're going to tease that, and we're going to have that story. You got a little physical. We're going to have that story when we come back right after this here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and PWRshow.com. Damian Nelson, David Hero, and the man they call Me Dad here with you live Tuesday night, October 13th. And our guest on the phone right now, Terri Runnels, formerly Marlena of WWE. Terri, welcome back. And just before we took that time out, we were talking about a little bit of an incident you had out
an altercation.
And
when I first heard about it, Terri, I couldn't believe it.
Wait, who's saying this? Is this Dave saying this?
Yes, it's me, Dave.
Well, okay, listen, if anyone really knows me, they know I'm a happy person. I'm a nice person. I would do anything for anyone. I will go above and beyond. I'm a good soul, but don't.
Absolutely.
I
could not believe it.
And it's funny because Tracy Brooks had said to me the day before, she goes, there's only 2 people in this business I'm scared of, you and Charmel. When Charmel has had it, she's had it. Well, it's funny because this hadn't really, nothing had transpired at that point. And so, anyway, bottom line, when you book me, I have a child, and so there's a set of dominoes that gets set up. My either Dustin will have Dakota or my mom will have Dakota because she's too old for me to have a live-in nanny anymore. So I don't have a live-in nanny,
mm-hmm.
and that doesn't make sense. And so it falls to family members. Well, Dustin was going to go down to see Pops, which that's Dusty. Dusty is Pops to Dakota. And so, everything was set up so that, okay, Mom's going to come over on Thursday and pick me up and get the dog, my little dog Mozart, take him back with her. Mom lives an hour away from me. She's going to do this, this, and this, and then Dustin's going to get Dakota, and then they're going to go down. And everything was based around my time of flying. And he told me that he was putting me up at the Hyatt. And so I had my itinerary that he had sent weeks in advance, and he said, I found a deal on the Hyatt that's right there, and the itinerary. He said, "Is this okay for you?" I said, "Yes."
And you were going to a Comic-Con, correct? Is that what it
was?
Yeah,
it was in Chicago, and so it's the day before, and I have a friend who was flying in. He was flying in commercially, but flying out on his own plane. And he said to me, "Terri, I'm only going to be, at the airport. Find out which Hyatt you're at. If you're at the airport Hyatt, we'll do dinner. If you're at the, and this was going to be on Friday night that we were going to do dinner." So
wait. You said you're going to meet me for dinner that night.
Oh, Dave, come on. I always have time for you. You're my special one. Anyway, so the day before on Wednesday. Now, everybody's been planning for weeks, and, okay, I'll do this, and, okay, I'll pick the cut up at this time, okay, everything around my schedule. I sent him a text Wednesday. Hey, Blaustein. I don't even want to say his whole name. What do you have me at the airport Hyatt or downtown Hyatt? An hour later, I get a text saying, "Oh, I got busy and forgot to book your trip."
What?
So basically, what I'm assuming at that point was I would have, my mother would have driven an hour. Everybody, the dominoes would have fallen, and we would have all been expecting me to fly out Thursday afternoon. And I would have gotten there, and there would have been no ticket. So he would not answer my call, and then he lied and said he didn't book me. Then he lied and said he forgot to book me. Then he lied and said he didn't have the money to book me. So, I do really well. We all make mistakes, and if he would have just called me and said, Terri, I'm so sorry, I ran out of money and I can't book you, or Terri, I'm so sorry, but I had to text him to find out that he forgot or whatever he didn't do. So I just basically, when I saw him, I took care of what I needed to take care of, and that's all I'll say.
And of course, that wasn't in Chicago. That was at a convention a few weeks ago, right?
Let me ask this question. What did you guys hear? And here's the other thing. My tradition is, and I have a bazillion pair of flannel pajamas. I love my flannels, and if I'm at a hotel, I go down to the restaurant and bar in my PJs. And so I'm in my PJs when this all takes place. So that makes it even funnier.
Mm-hmm.
And hotter all at the same time.
But here, I want to know what you guys heard.
Well,
and I'll tell you if it's true or not.
What I saw online is that apparently the promoter Blaustein, you guys bumped into each other at a different Comic-Con out east, and he didn't have all your money to pay you, and there was a little altercation that took place where.
No, it was over. It was exactly what I told you, and it was funny. The night before that, he'd walked into the bar, and I told him with words that my mother would not be proud of me for saying, which I shan't repeat. I told him to get the F word out, and I started pushing him and paintbrushed him a couple of times, and he left the bar. And then the next night is when I finished making my point, and I basically, with my hands. I won't say what the heck I was doing, but I basically looked at him and said, Jason, do you realize none of this would have happened if you would have just been a man and said, I goofed. I can handle honesty. I can handle, we all make mistakes, but you had to lie, and I can't, I don't play that. I don't play that crap. So. And
unfortunately, there are a lot of those stories.
It's all done. It's all done now, and I will have nothing else to do with them, and I'm, I feel liberated, I guess.
Well, Terri, since your departure from WWE in 2004, you've been very busy, specifically with a number of charitable organizations. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, you know what? I would love to even do more than I do. In fact, I need to get busy doing some more things for some charities. But there have been several. I've done some things for Hermie Sadler and his foundation with autism. One thing I love Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm. Recently, a fan of mine, which I was supposed to be at his surgery for his kidney transplant. He was too obese to get his kidney. And so I said to him a year ago, I said, Martin, if you will lose the weight to be a viable candidate to get a kidney, I will, barring a family emergency or something, I will be at your surgery. And so I found out last minute that his donor had actually gained weight, and the doctor wouldn't take the kidney, which was tragic because, here, bless Martin's heart, he had spent a year in losing the weight to be able to get the kidney. So now he is actually a girl that he dated for 11 years is in the process of being tested to see if she's a match. Mm-hmm. And if so, I will do everything I can to fly over and be there for his surgery. But it's I wish I could be there for every child who's a fan of mine who has chemo or my life would be made complete if I could literally go around doing Mother Teresa sweet, making people happy kind of stuff. That would be awesome to me.
Terri, it has been a joy, an honor, and a pleasure to have you on this program. And for anybody interested in learning more about what you're up to nowadays, you've got a Twitter account, the Terri Runnels. It's just twitter.com/the Terri Runnels. Terri?
Is it? I thought it was just Terri Runnels, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
It is the Terri Runnels.
Terri, thank you very much for giving us some of your time. We look forward to welcoming you on again in the future.
It was a blast. Have a great night. And Dave Hero, I love you.
Good night, Terri. Good night.
Bye, guys.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the Pro Wrestling Report. We got to start. I want to still, you know what? I'm making an executive decision right now. Hour 2 now, after the bump. I want the WCW Nitro Hour 2 music.
Why not Thunder?
Thunder.
You know, I'm a little upset right now.
How many fans even remember Thunder existed?
I'm a little hot right now.
Stop.
What are you hot about?
Dave, go.
Because I got the spoiler on Hell's Kitchen. I'm not pleased.
What goes around comes around.
That's right, spoiler guy.
Wait, what comes
'Cause you
around
spoiled
goes
it.
around?
You spoiled
I
it
never
for wrestling
told
fans.
you who won a match. I didn't want to know who won Hell's Kitchen.
You've spoiled stuff for our wrestling fans already, too. So it's
But
just,
that's why they tune in.
no,
They want to
it's-
be spoiled.
No. It's called good karma.
You are amazing.
That's the name of the
I
company
know.
here. Good
It's
karma.
almost like you've changed parties, and you just don't remember all the things you once did and said and were. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Damian Nelson sitting with David Hero and the man they call Meathead. Terri loves you. Terri Runnels, our guest a minute ago, loves you.
She does.
That kind of feeling and emotion is reserved for me and me only.
She adores me.
Well, no, it's Dave Hero. She's got it for Dave Hero. I mean, I wasn't in the room, but Dave Hero would have took it.
How fitting is it that the opening match on ECW features her ex-husband, Goldust, Dustin
And
Runnels?
Ezekiel right on top of him.
Well, gee, I wonder who's going to win this match.
Yeah.
You can join us on the phone lines, 276-ESPN, 276-3776, or 1-800-990-3776, 1-800-990-ESPN. Also in the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com. You can go ahead and join us and talk about what you want to talk about in the chatmosphere live. And to respond to user-fueled system, WCW is a defunct wrestling organization that went out of business in 2001 and was purchased by World Wrestling Entertainment.
It got old a long time ago.
To only you, because you're one
there's others.
you know, it's like when you look for dinosaur fossils. It's like finding people who were fans of WCW. You're like the Triceratops of. Oh,
No, they just call me T-Rex or Tripod. Either or.
You know, I'm watching ECW here, going back to, the current program. And what does that tell you about Ezekiel? Is that his name?
yeah,
Ezekiel Jackson.
That,
Action Jackson.
Well, no, I mean, that Goldust can still go, and that Goldust can still teach these guys how to work.
He's an enhancement talent right now. He's putting over the other guys.
Yeah, but he's
No, we've
enhancing
seen the intense. We've seen the Tourette's. We've seen a lot of the cycle
The
of
Tourette's
Goldust
is hilarious.
characters over the last few weeks. Goldust is he's a legend. Now,
What?
Goldust is a legend.
A
Goldust
legend?
is 13 years, Dave.
Alicia Fox
13
bumped
years.
like Kurt Hennig and
Yes,
Goldust
she
is
does.
a legend.
13 years Goldust has been around.
That makes him a
Roundabout
legend.
sort of way.
Steve Lombardi's been around for longer than that.
The
Is he a
Brooklyn
legend?
Brawler is a legend, too.
You
Harvey
are
Whippleman is a legend.
Absolutely
Wait.
crazy.
Now, I'm not saying legendary to the status of a Ric Flair, to the status of a Hulk Hogan, to Steve Austin, but they're well-known, whether they're enhancements or not, they're well-known talents that people recognize and will
Just call them
continue to recognize.
superstars.
No.
They're not legends.
Can't say superstars of wrestling.
Just call them a superstar. Wow.
This week in history, a couple of big
upset
title
Jamie.
changes over the
You upset him.
last few years. Going
And
all the way
this week.
back to 1973, Harley Race became the Missouri State Heavyweight Champion by defeating Gene Kaniski. Remember that, Dave? Frank does.
I was a year old in 73.
Gene Snitsky?
In 1992, Bret the Hitman Hart defeated Ric Flair for the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship.
Meathead was 5 then, wasn't he?
In 1992?
No, he wasn't even born yet. Also in
92?
1992,
Yeah.
Butch Reed defeated the Junkyard Dog for the USWA Unified Heavyweight Championship. And also in 1992, a lot of title changes this month and that year. Money Incorporated, no beer, defeated the Natural Disasters for the WWF Tag Team Championship. Ken Shamrock defeating X-Pac in a tournament to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. And the Rock and Sock Connection defeated the New Age Outlaws for the tag team titles in 1999.
And there was 2 title changes this week.
That's this week
Right.
in history. New United States champion last week and a new Divas champion this week on Raw. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to line 1, PWR favorite, Bowman from Boston. You're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Bowman, what's popping?
Popping. I have to agree with Damien there. Goldust is definitely a legend in the business.
Thank you, Bowman.
Okay.
And
Dave Hero hates that.
You got Dave Hero hot.
I don't hate it.
If you really look back, fine. Maybe, okay, we take him by Twitter, but maybe we can overrule. Maybe we should go in depth on Goldust on an upcoming edition of PWR Primetime.
Here comes the moan.
Oh, that's fine. We can do that, but that's not going to make him a legend or not.
Yeah, I think Goldust, the character, and the time that he came out was so alternative and so different and so controversial at that time that I feel that he definitely has earned his spot as a legend in the WWE and in the business in general.
And he earned his spot back again.
When
he
you
earned his
say
spot
legend,
back again when he started teaming up with Booker T and started doing the Tourette's thing.
Yeah.
So when
the natural Dustin Rhodes, not so much, but Goldust, definitely.
When you say wrestling legend, I
Strowman.
think Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat.
You're
right.
Alicia Keys.
You're right.
I mean,
You're
Alicia
absolutely right.
Fox.
Yeah,
You're right.
Future legend.
There are levels of legendary.
No, that's
I think-
Alicia Flash.
And I have to congratulate Damien again for finally coming on the bandwagon with the big nose, known as Triple H.
I know I've been guided in the wrong direction for several years on several things. That is one of them.
Yes, you have. Welcome to the proper side.
But let's remember though, when I did turn the corner on Triple H, which was WrestleMania 22, Chicago, being down there for the entire week, participating in all the festivities going on, and watching Triple H. Remember that?
Was it the
press conference?
No, the brunch they have down there. The
Sunday brunch?
The bagels thing, whatever.
Is
That's
that the
why
Sunday
they
brunch?
have the Brussels brunch on Sundays.
Is that Sunday brunch?
They got to still
Sunday
have
brunch.
it, even though they're traveling. But anyways, Triple H was so excellent in everything he did leading up to WrestleMania 22. Because remember, John Cena had no chance of beating Triple H because of what everyone thought out there. And Triple H played it up so tremendously at the press conference at the Chicago Theater. He stood there and said, it's going to be the easiest match of my life. And then even stuff that happened off camera, I gained a tremendous amount of respect for Triple H's knowledge and ability to perform a role.
He's a businessman.
I respect Triple H, but I'll still never cheer for him. I don't like him. I mean,
I respect George W. Bush. He's one of my most highly respected people, but I don't necessarily agree with what he did or said or what he stood for, but I respect him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and God, one more thing. I think we should. I think you guys are going to be leading talking about announcers and in their roles. And I think that one announcer, if you ever been in watching Raw and see me in the chatmosphere, I've always been vintagely saying Michael Cole sucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time we go in depth with Michael Cole. Ooh. The man has been in the WWE for 15 years now, and he still couldn't put water over fire.
He's still irrelevant.
He still couldn't do that. I mean, seriously, he couldn't do it.
I think I said it last week on one of our programs. We did so many, I forget which one I say what on. But I said that, I used to have a lot of appreciation for Michael Cole when he was on SmackDown. I think that was his place. That's where he needed to be. I also agree WWE probably needed to put him on Raw so that when the day comes that JR is no longer with the company, you've got your top play-by-play guy. But he doesn't seem disinterested anymore. For a long time, he seemed completely disinterested.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Boom Shakalaka.
Well, who's better?
Lovely edited that out in the replays.
Who's better between the two?
Canyon?
Michael Cole or Tony Schiavone?
Schiavone, because at least his gimmick is being the same entire show.
Schiavone, thank you. Welcome to the top of the program.
Would take a nap during Nitro between quarter 3 and quarter 8. He would be asleep.
At least he says something that makes
There's his maneuver.
It's better than what Cole's doing. Cole fails every single week. He
finds
a new way to fail.
Cole has been scarred ever since Heidenreich got a hold of him.
Ever since Booker T puked on him.
That was the best thing. That was the best thing for Michael Cole when he was in the back in an inappropriate position with Heidenreich. That was the best thing for him.
He did scream like a little girl too.
Schiavone over Cole.
Yeah, definitely Schiavone. Again, because Schiavone took a lot of the rap for the final couple of years in WCW. Schiavone was a great play-by-play announcer.
You need to read Bobby Heenan's first book. It'll tell you all you need to know about Tony Schiavone.
Well, no, I'm just Tony Schiavone. I don't consider him great or anything like that, but I'd rather hear him than Cole. I'd rather hear Mike Adamle than Cole. Mike Adamle at least put somebody over.
Oh, Mike Adamle doesn't know the talent's names.
Mike Adams at least put Kofi over. That's one more than Michael Cole.
Yeah, but that was one he was given.
What makes you think that wasn't all part of the show with Adam Lee?
Yeah, it was one he was given. Oh, Adam was terrible. Have you watched the football broadcast?
No, Adam Lee recently did an interview, and unless he's still kayfabing us, that wasn't.
Although Mike Adams should stick to just doing American Gladiators like he did in the 90s and not do anything else. But I would still rather hear him than Michael Cole.
All right, Bowman. Well, thank you.
I got one last.
Oh, go ahead, Bo.
One last thing. I'm happy for Snoop Dogg being the Raw guest host, but just to laugh, I think the next Raw guest host should be Lady Gaga, so she can come out with a bird's nest suit and change
Nah, my poker face.
That's hilarious.
It's a great song.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
There's no better song to hear than when you're in Las Vegas.
You sing way too much lately.
Yeah.
What's wrong with singing?
Hey,
I'm a crooner.
There's nothing wrong with it. Is Lady Gaga the one from Grooves in the Heart?
No.
Chad from Milwaukee, you're on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Doing very good.
Good. My name's Chad. I used to be Billy/Bobby Boldigo back in the mid-'80s. I was a jabroni on the old AWA, the old WWF, and just want to talk about old school. I like what they're doing now, and I never would have said, that it's entertainment. And looking back, I wrestled from 85 till about 92, and all the small circuits. Jake the Milkman Milliman and Tom Rocky Stone trained me.
Old school.
Yeah, we used to do the old Federation Hall over on 13th Street in Lincoln.
Johnny's the other road, I think, now.
Yeah, and we rode the road on all the small circuits all around the country, and we just had a great time. And Terri Runnels brought up how different it was back in those days. It wasn't, we lost a couple of guys from drug overdoses, and, that's how it was back in the 80s, And we were just trying to make it big. It wasn't like it was now, where, I was Bobby Boldigo. I'm a Mohican Indian. I'm a Stockbridge Bunzie proud Indian, but I was just a caricature back then. But it was more about coming out there and wrestling and just having a good time. And these guys are more focused on their contract. And, one of you guys were talking about Triple H and who's on board. Great entertainer. Guys back in my day were great entertainers, like Bobby Heenan, probably one of the best pumpers, or Adrian Adonis.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best in the business. Ric Flair in his Hall of Fame speech, who I used to drink with when AWA...
So you've seen him naked?
What's that?
So you've seen him naked?
No.
Because everybody who's drank with Flair has seen him naked, and people that haven't drank with Flair have seen him naked. Ric Flair likes to show everybody.
No, I wasn't drinking with Flair. I was drinking with Ray Stevens.
Oh, the Crippler.
Well, yeah. Well, my point, the Hall of Fame speech, he said something to the effect that the greatest worker that ever laced up a pair of boots was Ray Stevens. And anybody that'll tell you, old-timers like me and before me would say Ray Stevens probably, transformed the business into a bumping business, into a showmanship business. And he was great, man. We used to hang out. We used to do the TV tapings at the Showboat in Vegas.
Ah, yes.
In 85.
That's what's airing on ESPN Classic right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And my niece, she's 15. She always texts me. She's like, Uncle Chad, you're on. So they always show me. So I guess my biggest thing was I got to work Buddy Rose and Doug Summers about 3 times that they keep showing the matches. And Buddy Rose was another one that was just great for the business. He was a great worker, a great bumper, and just a great guy.
Lots of great times, obviously, in the AWA and specifically here in Milwaukee. And a lot of people don't even realize how big a wrestling town Milwaukee was. A lot of people don't realize the days back at the Mecca and all over the city where AWA would come to town and, they would just tear the place up. And that was the big event. That was what everybody wanted to do and where everybody wanted to go.
No. The big event was Hulk Hogan versus Paul Orndorff in Toronto.
Oh, well, I'm talking about as far as here in Milwaukee.
He's talking about here in Milwaukee, like
you used to go when you were a kid. Come on, don't act like you did.
You know what? The very first show I went to was the AWA show. I was in second grade. I hated it, and it wasn't until I saw the Iron Sheik beat Bob Backlund is what got me hooked.
Chad from Milwaukee, thank you very much for calling in. Remember, guys, we do have 4 tickets. We've got 2 2-packs of tickets to the TNA Live event coming up next Saturday night in Racine, Wisconsin at the Civic Center. TNA Wrestling, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe on top of that card. ODB also going to be appearing.
Beer Money is going to be there twice.
The next two callers, 276-ESPN, 276-3776, get tickets to the TNA Live event on October 24th.
We will make it happen.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report here on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Dragon is laid back.
What is that?
With his mind on his money and his money on his mind. It's just
and his redhead.
Chilling, headsets off. We didn't even recognize this. Didn't even know we were back on. Burning Precious Showtime. We're live. Tuesday.
He's got a 5-page script.
No, he needs to hang up with Terri and get back to business.
Oh, he's still working that angle?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, they both are toe-to-toe. I mean,
she's natural blonde, right? She wasn't red at any point?
She's got red hair.
Dragon's got a thing. Again, we've got tickets to TNA Wrestling Live coming up next Saturday, and
at Memorial Hall in Racine.
It's also the wrestling show will be the greatest spectacle in Racine.
Also going to be in Chicago the night before at the Odeum in Villa Park, and also in Green Bay on Sunday, October the 25th. First house shows after Bound for Glory, which comes up this Sunday night.
There could be some new talent there.
Exactly. A lot of surprises. Dixie Carter told us right here on this very program that there would be a lot of surprises.
Well, Dixie only talked to you because we weren't good enough to be in that interview.
Congratulations go out to Adam Colon and Max Sinani.
Is that Primo's cousin?
Adam Colon and Max Sinani are the winners of the tickets to TNA Wrestling's house shows coming up next week. We're going to be at those shows, for sure, the Racine show, and we'll be looking forward to seeing all of you at that show.
Are you
coming
doing
up
photo
from
ops?
TNA Wrestling.
Are you and Meathead doing photo ops?
We're doing catering is what we're doing because Damien's going to get the hookup.
He's going to hit you.
No, I'm going to hit you. The heat's with you tonight.
I just asked about the photo ops.
Spoon, stir. That's what you do.
Are you asking him to spoon you? Do the show, 5 script.
Anthony from Helmar, line 3. You're live at the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Hello, Anthony. Anthony has dropped off, and remember, you can call us. Oh, Anthony is with us. Sorry about that. Anthony, you're live.
No problem. I'm not sure if you guys mentioned this in the top of the show because I missed the first.
Or the top of the program.
Program, same thing. But what's your opinion about the current Raw team that's going to be on the bragging rights pay-per-view, and who you think is going to be for the SmackDown?
Well, here's the question. I thought I had heard somewhere along the way that the matches that night would determine who would be in the big match at the end for bragging rights, and then we see an aggressive push by WWE this past Monday to determine who the 7 team members would be for that match at bragging rights.
You did hear that because I heard it too.
Correct me when I'm wrong because I will be.
Wrong.
It's Chris Jericho.
No, Jericho's not on Team Raw.
He's on Team SmackDown.
I'm sorry. It's the Big Show. It's Cody Rhodes.
DX.
Both members of DX. Apparently Triple H is the captain and the actual general manager from this past Monday night.
What's kind of funny is that the 2 guys that didn't have to wrestle to get in were Team DX.
And the team captains.
Yeah.
Well, Big Show even had to wrestle to get in. He's one half of the tag team champions.
There isn't enough talent on SmackDown to fill out a team.
Because they got their 4 tops in the 4-way.
Yeah. So it'll be Jericho. It'll probably be Matt Hardy.
Hart Dynasty.
When's the last time Matt Hardy had a match on SmackDown?
You know, you can't.
We're up to 4 weeks now?
You cannot.
Damien, I got to ask, how are you here when ECW has got you refereeing this match?
I'm guessing that SmackDown is going to be a SmackDown ECW team. They have to.
Which diminishes it even more.
Well, no, because then you can have Christian, you can have Matt Hardy.
Christian's moving over, apparently.
But also, ECW is not in the name of the video game. It's SmackDown versus Raw.
But everyone knows
featuring ECW.
Yeah, they got to put ECW in that.
Well, when Heather Locklear was on Melrose, it was and guest starring Heather Locklear. So maybe ECW has a higher bidding than SmackDown and Raw.
Also featuring the man they call Meathead.
I think that match is going to be a bit of a mess, just because you have 14 participants.
But I hope it's like they just say, okay, these 7 guys, 1-on-1, whoever wins goes in the big match. That'll be easier.
I see a train wreck. I really see
What do you mean
train
we're
wreck
both
coming.
wrong, David? That was being reported that bragging rights main would be SmackDown versus Raw.
It was reported like that last week. I've got Raw still on my dipper.
Fine. You know, gang up on me, whatever.
Just because you're an opinionist doesn't mean you can't be
I'm
wrong.
an opinionist. No. I heard the same thing also.
Now, I do think it's better suited to be used at the Survivor Series, which, unless I'm wrong, they've only done once, had the Ultimate Survivor match at the end of the night. But I think that's what the Survivor Series, which apparently is going back to its traditional roots, should have always been, is you have this big match.
So 2 pay-per-views back-to-back are going to have big elimination matches?
Oh, and speaking, did you hear the rumor they said it might have War Games come back?
The match beyond, potentially replacing Judgment Day coming up in the spring of 2010.
And that's funny because Meathead's next pay-per-view, which is coming out this week, will be featuring War Games.
It's been this week for the last 3 weeks.
And you once again win the draft.
Why would they do a War Games when they're not going to have any blood?
They did a Hell in a Cell without having any blood. They're going to do Elimination Chamber without having any blood.
It would be terrible.
Well, the PWR community thought it was worth the $40. Some 70% of them
voted 15 times.
Meathead didn't vote at all. He doesn't have a computer.
Turned off your cookies?
Yeah.
All right, Anthony from Helmar, thank you very much for that call. I caught your jab, by the way, about the draft. I do believe I'm winning the draft.
Hey,
you haven't won a pay-per-view yet.
CNN has projected.
Katie Lee Burchill or Daphne?
Daphne.
Katie Lee
Hands
Burchill.
down. Only because it's the opposite?
No.
Look, no. It's Daphne.
She's got a more clean, dirty look.
Oh, no. Daphne had that little top hat on this week. Oh.
I think you're talking about your top hat.
Whoa, so like top hats do it for you?
Yes, that's what puts it over the top, Dave.
All right.
Back rubs and top hats.
All right, gentlemen, PWR Express available at PWRshow.com. From today, Meathead, you and myself talked about the wrestling commentary situation from an email that we got. And it, of course, needs more discussion. Basically, the wrestling commentary teams of today are 2 talking heads, 2 basically neutral gentlemen, whether it's WWE or TNA, which is completely different from what we saw in the past. The great teams that certainly need to be mentioned, the greatest team of Monsoon and Heenan, McMahon, Ross, McMahon, Ventura, Tenay and Don West at the end, Jim Ross and Ventura. All those were great face-heel teams. Now
at one point,
we have
Shivani Heenan was entertaining as well. At one point, right at the
even Ross Lawler played the heel-face role for quite a while.
Yeah.
But they've completely, all wrestling companies have completely walked away from that, and I think it takes away from the product. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
Well, there aren't any true bad guys.
Chris Jericho right now is a bad guy. Randy
but
Orton's
you know
a
what
bad
though?
guy.
But they both get their share of cheers.
Kurt Angle's a bad guy.
And there's still a lot of people that love Kurt Angle. I mean, right now there is no more Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper.
Or Hogan versus Zeus.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is no more clean-cut babyface and clear-cut heel. That's the problem. So it doesn't do any good to have a heel announcer. The best ever was Heenan and Monsoon.
Absolutely.
And there's absolutely no doubt about that. And you can check out the clips at PWRshow.com in the PWR video section.
Isn't that
to
remix?
See the highlight of Heenan and Monsoon. Their best year was 1992 by far, going from the Royal Rumble into the WrestleMania 8 and then SummerSlam and so on and so on. But there are 2 schools of thought here. The commentators should not have a prominent role on the product. They should be almost in the background, but at the same time, they are one of the most important pieces of the product because it's their job to ensure you take away from the show what the company wants you to take away. And I think having those heel commentators back in the day did that better than 2 neutral commentators in the current day, JBL and Michael Cole. I watched SmackDown because JBL was on commentary. That's a fact.
And when JBL started off, I mentioned this on Express this morning, when JBL started off, he was doing his job. He actually was a heel commentator, and a commentator in general, not the play-by-play guy, but the color commentator in general should be able to give you a perspective of the former wrestler, the former manager, the former referee, somebody that's been in the business and can tell you what he would do if he was in that spot, what he's done against that particular talent in his career, just give you an example of what it's like to be inside of what, you're seeing.
And that's what Taz has brought to the table in TNA that Don West could not. However, a lot of people say this, and I'm one that subscribes to it, Don West was getting better and better each and every week, and he was playing that heel role. And I think it was something different that we weren't seeing in any other wrestling organization they were being offered at the time, which is what made it that much better and gave you a bit of a hint back to what it was. I asked Don West face-to-face. I said, are you channeling Bobby Heenan? And he sort of played it off as no, he wasn't, but clearly he was. And I think we need to get back to those days. As we've all just sit here and agreed upon, Heenan Monsoon was excellent. There's so many
we'll
Heenan
never get
one-liners.
back to those days because there's no longer wrestling managers.
Great point.
And it's funny that Gorilla Monsoon was able to transition into a play-by-play announcer.
Will you stop?
Kind of like a Pat Summerall was able to transition into a play-by-play football announcer. But, that's normally reserved.
Monsoon also had a piece of the pie.
That's normally reserved.
Kid was reffing.
That's normally reserved for, the professional broadcaster, not an actual former wrestler or former, worker in the business. Kind of like Summerall was a punter back with the Giants, I believe.
I had no idea about that.
Well, I don't just know wrestling. I know sports.
I think it's a lost art, that of commentary. And we've done it.
Yes.
For many a Great Lakes Championship Wrestling show. And
we'll be doing it again coming up for Blizzard Brawl 5.
December 5th.
Tickets are available.
You know what? For those of you that haven't listened,
WizardBrawl.com.
Well, no, but I would go and check out the on YouTube the BG and Kip versus Kevin Nash and Scott Hall match where
50,000 people have already.
Where you two guys have called that show.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, David Hero, and the man they call Meathead here on Tuesday, October 13th. TNA's Bound for Glory is coming up this Sunday night live on pay-per-view. It is TNA's biggest event of the year, and you've got a big 3-hour Impact coming up this Thursday night with some special features you're going to see for that show. TNA has also just announced some additional things that are going to be available coming up Sunday. Bound for Glory, a free 30-minute preview of Bound for Glory will be available featuring a match with the Motor City Machine Guns taking on Lethal Consequences, which, of course, is Jay Lethal and Consequences Creed. That's going to be at 6:30 Central Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern, immediately prior to TNA Bound for Glory. It's going to be at mycontent.com/TNA. From there, also, after the show, they're going to be doing a live press conference. Same website. All of the major stars of TNA are going to be participating in that press conference immediately following TNA Bound for Glory, and you, the fans, will have the opportunity to send in your emails or Twitter tweets to TNA Online or emailing TNA at mycontent.com. You are the media. You can ask the questions of the stars after Bound for Glory coming up this Sunday live on pay-per-view.
What's so funny?
You're over there smiling. You got a grin from ear to ear, temple to temple on your face.
I'm learning about the Team SmackDown.
Spoilers are going on right now. Just keep it to yourself, all right?
I'm keeping it to myself.
Let's go over the card. TNA Bound for Glory this Sunday on pay-per-view coming from Irvine, California at the Brin Event Center. This one has what appears to be a decent card, but the question is, are there too many gimmicks or not? Let's go by it match by match. First, the TNA Knockouts Championship will be on the line as ODB takes on Terra and Awesome Kong. It's a three-way dance with 3 knockouts for the World Knockouts Championship. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
I love ODB. I think that she's going to come out on top. I think that Terra had her little run, and I don't think the fans want to see Awesome Kong as the champ.
And, it's funny that all of us in Pro Wrestling Report world love ODB except for Frank. ODB.
Oh, he does love her.
Frank is scared of ODB.
He is terrified.
Frank's not
he probably
scared.
should be.
He's not scared.
He's afraid of her. That matchup, I would look to see. I actually want to see Awesome Kong come back out of that match as a monster and dominate the Knockouts division for a little bit longer. It's been a while since we've seen that from Kong.
About a minute.
Next matchup is the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Taylor Wilde and Sarita will be teaming up to defend their titles against the beautiful people, Velvet Sky and Madison Rain.
Yeah, not Lacey.
Yeah, LVE, as she's referred to on the internet and Facebook. I don't know, beautiful people.
You know what? When you get the initials, that means you're over.
Yeah.
Honky Tonk Man, HTM, Hell in a Cell, HIAC.
HEAD.
Something about the HIAC?
HIAC, Hell in a Cell.
Your thoughts on that Tag Team Knockouts Championship?
Beautiful people going over.
Beautiful people going over.
I think it's going to be Sarita and Wilde.
I think you're wrong.
Ultimate X #1 contenders match at this time. However, I'm hoping this match changes to actually be for the X Division Championship, including the new X Division champion, Amazing Red. It is Suicide, as it's written right now, Suicide versus D'Angelo De Niro versus Daniels versus Homicide. Dave Hero, your thoughts?
I'd like D'Angelo De Niro to go over.
The Black Pope?
Well, you know what? His character, they've done a great job with it. They've built it up. He's meant
in a very
something.
short period of time, by the way.
I think this is the best build-up TNA has done in a long time with any one of the talents.
Yeah. Suicide, as the Pope calls him, will make a run for it. But, I'd like to see the Pope. Now, granted, I thought his character, Elijah Burke's character, that is, got kind of squashed when he was on Ghost Hunters and got made to look like a little crying girl. So he's come back.
And now he's back from outer space. Should we see Amazing Red in this matchup, gentlemen?
No, Amazing. I don't like Amazing.
He's the current X Division champion.
And
So why not make this on your biggest show of the year? Why not make this for the belt?
He reminds me of Dragon. Amazing Red.
Did
but
you
Dragon
see
doesn't like redheads.
Yeah, and Amazing Red is, red.
Well, they look similar.
You don't think Amazing Red? You don't think this should be a championship match?
It should be
their biggest. Okay, so you don't want Amazing Red in it?
I don't want Amazing Red to be the champion.
Because he will not leave as the champion.
Yeah, he's just
They're
transitional.
Gonna save a title.
Do we need him to?
They're going to save a title change for TV.
But biggest show of the year, all right? The title should be on the line.
WrestleMania doesn't always have their titles on the line.
WrestleMania barely had the Intercontinental belt on the line.
Was this the first time in 3 years it had been defended at WrestleMania 25? The IC strap?
And that's only to drop it so JBL could retire.
Monsters Ball match, one of the highlights of the pay-per-view as far as I'm concerned. Mick Foley versus Abyss.
Well, you know what? I don't know. I'm hoping that we see Mick Foley in 1999.
But we can't because it's Mick Foley 2000.
I don't think we're going to see it. I do think it's going to be an entertaining match. Both guys are going to be able to put on a show.
How many VHS tapes will be in this match?
I was told instead of a bag of thumbtacks, there'll be a bag of VHS tapes.
And
but
beta tapes.
Foley may not be in his prime by his own admission, but Foley will do anything it takes to make that match enjoyable.
Yeah, and the thing with hardcore matches, it's been said many times that hardcore matches are what the guys that have gotten on in years are able to do to keep themselves relevant.
I remember sitting down with Mick Foley before Bound for Glory last year in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He had no intention on ever wrestling for TNA.
None.
But then he was told, we'll give you the belt.
But I don't think it's that important.
But it made
for
good TV, though.
It made for good TV.
But he likes the product. True or false?
Oh, yeah, he's a big fan of TNA
Which is probably one of the big contributing factors to him getting back in the ring and contributing and putting some other people over. He's going to put Abyss over.
I'm willing to bet Abyss goes over on
Absolutely.
Mick Foley.
He's got to.
He should.
But keep in mind, Mick Foley is the guy that pretty much helped Triple H become a bigger star.
Absolutely.
Helped The Rock.
Absolutely.
Not that Mick was.
I quit.
Not that Mick was the best worker or wrestler in that, but he brought out certain elements of each one of those guys.
MMA versus TNA.
I hate the title of this match.
Oh, it's terrible.
Well, here's why. Bobby Lashley wins. Now they're saying MMA is better than TNA.
Also, Bobby Lashley's not going to win using MMA moves, is he?
Yeah.
He's got to wrestle.
No. Put it this way. Bobby Lashley's going to make him tap. Why would so then what? So then he's saying that Bobby Lashley, the MMA fighter, can't.
So Joe's got to tap out. Joe's going to look weak now.
No, he's not going to look weak. Bobby Lashley is an MMA fighter. So you're telling me that the MMA fighter can't beat the fake wrestler?
Well, and let's not forget all of the experience we were told that Samoa Joe had in mixed martial arts when he was going into that match with Kurt Angle at, I believe, Lockdown 2008.
I'm going with Bobby Lashley, going over on Samoa Joe.
Again, way too easy. Bobby Lashley.
Tapping out Samoa Joe.
The TNA Legends Championship will be on the line in a three-way match as Kevin Nash, the current Legends champion, defends against Hernandez and Eric Young.
What are those little gimmicks that you can get like in Russia?
Bobbleheads?
No, not bobbleheads.
You're talking about the one that goes smaller.
Yes.
Smaller. I don't know what they're called.
But like when you can put one inside
they're
of each
eggs
other.
Inside of an egg.
I know a great Russian beer.
But when I think of that match, that's what I think
of. Nash.
You see the midget,
yeah,
the taller midget than Kevin Nash.
So Hernandez is a tall midget.
Yes.
Okay. World's tallest midget, Hernandez. I'll make sure to tell him when I'm at catering with Damien.
All right. He took the hat off.
He's hot
about it.
Well, think about hey. When
your point is valid. Hernandez was huge with homicide in LAX.
Yeah, you put him
it's
next
a mistake
to Matt
now
Morgan.
to put him next to
like,
people
whoa.
bigger than him.
I'm like, is Morgan standing on a phone book? You know?
I am happy, though, to see Hernandez back in his old LAX gear.
Not all of it, because he still had the new
As
fight.
of this week, he is.
Yeah. The only thing cool about his gear is the Superman logo on the kick pads.
Every show.
Super Max.
Yeah.
We're going to take a time out. When we come back, more about TNA Bound for Glory coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view and details on what WWE is trying to do to this very program. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. You can tell Fish is around. We're playing 1, 2, 3 Kid again.
It was queued up before he walked out the door, out of the control room.
It's always a great song. We were talking about...
You better be careful so you don't get no more of those cease and desist letters.
Yeah. I think our producer's in on it.
I'm going rogue like Sarah Palin.
We got to talk about that one of these days.
How you went rogue on Sarah Palin?
Yeah.
Kurt Angle,
Palin.com.
Wrestling's best versus Matt Morgan, Wrestling's future.
I really want Matt Morgan to go over.
Nah, Kurt Angle.
I said I really want Matt Morgan to go over.
But Kurt Angle's going to win.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm really a mark, aren't I?
No, you just...
I hope.
You like the guys that come on the show.
Wow. Kurt Angle's been on the show. Matt Morgan's been on the show.
You're right.
Yeah.
Matt
Pay
Morgan...
attention to our product, David
Kurt
Hero.
Angle's been here in this very room.
David Hero.
Matt Morgan hasn't.
I was here with Kurt
and
Angle.
he forgot about it already.
Matt Morgan wasn't.
Well, that was a year
How
ago.
dare you make such an insinuation? How dare you?
Just being
He wasn't.
honest.
Damien wasn't even eating catering.
I'm just
Terri
keeping
Runnels
it real.
go ahead and elevated you up on the highest stair, the highest cloud. Now you just
Terry likes
you
the
just like
khaki
the
guy.
guys who come on the show. You sound like some of the people out in the IWC.
Oh, believe me, I hear them also.
I think it makes more sense for Matt Morgan to win this match.
I think it makes more sense if Matt Morgan beats him on Impact than on a pay-per-view.
All right.
More people are going to watch Impact than they are the pay-per-view.
But it weighs more if it's done at a pay-per-view. It's a more important match.
You know what? I don't know about that. What was the main event of last month's TNA pay-per-view?
The main event was where AJ won the belt. It was the tag team match.
Okay.
Styles, Sting, Morgan, Angle.
Or the four-way. It was a four-way. That's what it was called.
Okay. And who did he beat? Who did he pin?
AJ pinned Angle for the belt.
Okay. But I mean,
you're not even paying attention to the product.
I'm just
You're asking
saying
me
that
questions.
I'm paying attention to the clock.
I'm just saying more people don't care.
Tag team titles will be on the line. It's 4 teams.
One of those guys won't be there on Monday.
Is it like 4 boxes? One of these kids is not going to be here. One of these.
Yeah. There's going to be, one less guy on Monday. I'm
Booker
not saying
T
who.
and Scott Steiner versus the British Invasion, Team 3D, and Beer Money.
Well, I guess it's pretty obvious which one guy's not going to be there.
It's a tag team ladder match. Robert Roode, it's a tag team ladder match for all of the tag team gold. The IWGP tag straps. Hopefully they cleared it this
Scott
time.
Steiner's really going to climb a ladder?
No.
I think he will.
Only if there's a pogo stick there.
So you got 8 guys. Wow. That's going to be an interesting match. I think it's Beer Money's time to shine.
Yeah, it's been a while since they had the belts. Either of them.
Yep.
But I do like the British Invasion having the IWGP titles.
But what does the IWGP have to say about it? Because we're moving their titles around and they don't.
But they're
have a
world
say.
elite and they've got the Japanese titles. It makes some sense in my opinion.
But I would think that they'd have to clear that with IWGP.
Really?
P. Excuse me.
P.
Not really.
No B.
It's their titles.
What are they going to do?
The
Tell
main
them to
event
give me back my title.
will be for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. AJ Styles will go one-on-one with Sting. Let's first give props to the fact that this is indeed a one-on-one match on top of the show. AJ Styles versus Sting. AJ Styles walks out still the champion. Sting, though, is not that person who you won't see on Impact the following week. Sting still got some time with TNA, rumored to have signed a new 6-year deal. Meathead, your thoughts? The phenomenal AJ Styles, I think that makes
6-year deal, Sting?
6 months. Sorry, 6 months. Let me retract.
All right.
Replace.
Making me nervous
6
there.
months. 6 months. TNA Bound for Glory. We're going to have an exclusive video wrap-up after the show. So be sure to tune in to PWRshow.com for that. And also a special episode of PWR Primetime this Friday on Time Warner Cable Channel 14 and PWRshow.com featuring several TNA talents talking about TNA Bound for Glory, including Abyss, Daniels, TNA President Dixie Carter, Kurt Angle, Jeff Jarrett, and many more, all appearing this Friday talking about Bound for Glory on the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime. It's an episode you certainly don't want to miss. We'll also have complete results and a wrap-up on next week's show. WWE has lashed out. WWE has taken notice of the Pro Wrestling Report. WWE has taken liberties against...
You pushed their buttons.
Some things, ever since Ken Anderson was on, to be honest with you, and we know Randy Orton had some pretty pointed things to say to Ken and to many others about that interview. Ever since then, WWE has been very interested in our videos on YouTube, claiming that they own several things in those videos, which
don't own me.
Not the case. We are a media organization. We use things under the fair use doctrine. We can refer to things and use things for reference, which we do, which we will continue to do. And just like the previous battles we've had with World Wrestling Entertainment,
they just don't like Meathead.
I am going to fight this one with all my power to win again. But I think it's very interesting that twice in the last 2 months, WWE has come after this program in an effort to shut us down. And they have failed in their previous effort, and we will assure
it's because I'm
that
khaki,
they fail
right?
again.
Yeah.
Well, some of the people in the chatmosphere are blaming it on you. It was it was not when you came onto the show. It really, literally, I am not exaggerating. After Anderson was on this program,
I believe it.
They have paid a lot more attention to it. So
we got the scoop of the year.
Fix your programming. Are you listening now? Fix it.
You know, and a lot of people give me heat specifically about our relationship with TNA, and we do appreciate TNA allowing us the opportunity to have their talents on this show.
And catering.
And all we do is ask. They have told us no many a times. We've decided not to have some talents on at times or to do things for or do things with TNA because
Curry Man was too hard to understand.
Exactly. But that is what's going on in detail there. More information at PWRshow.com. We'll be with PWR Primetime this Friday night. Right after SmackDown Channel 14, for the man they call Meathead, for David Hero, who is a separate person for the man they call Meathead, and the Cause, who is a separate person for the man they call Meathead. This is Damian Nelson saying thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again Friday night on PWR Primetime.